welcome back to the Escentual Owl. Erin here today to make another cold process soap. Today I'm going to be making a remake of a soap that I had available last year. It was called, or is called, Cumber Batch, and it is a cucumber melon soap. It did very well. It is one of my favorites of the soaps that I make because the scent is just wonderful. The fragrance that I'll be using is this one. This is Cucumber Melon from Nurture Soap. This is my favorite cucumber melon fragrance that I have ever smelled. I have smelled others from several different places, and this one by far is my favorite. It's great. If you like cucumber melon, I highly recommend this one. It's great. I love it so much. Now, before I get started, I do want to make a note here that I am soaping a little bit hotter than normal. My oils are around 90 degrees and my lye is only a little bit above that, around 95 degrees or so. And that's because it's almost 5 o'clock and I have somewhere to be. So I'm in a little bit of a rush to go ahead and get started. Usually I wait until the oils are right around room temperature just to give myself a little bit more time to work. But today, I'm not so much going to worry about it. So, let's get into the colorants. I am going to be using New Leaf mica powder. It's a little bit blurry focus. There we go. That is this very nice, light, springy green color. And the last time that I made this soap, I didn't have some of the colorants that I'll be using today. So what I ended up doing was using some of my Vibrance micas and toning them down with titanium dioxide. This soap has a white base, which I don't do very many white base soaps. So it's different than my usual, but it's more similar to a lot of other people's soaps. So I'm excited to see how this one will come out using these new colorants. It's going to be similar in color to my old one, but it's not going to be exactly the same. So for the green, I'm using that New Leaf mica powder. And then for the other color, I like to go for a melony sort of color. Melony. Melon-like. Let's use that word. So I'll be using this Summer Crush mica. And that just kind of poofed everywhere. But it's a nice rosy pink with a gold shift to it. This is one of my new favorites. And to sort of orange it up a little bit, just to make it look a little bit more true to the original soap that I made, and just to give it a little bit more of a fruity sort of look to it, I guess you could say, I may add a little bit of orange vibrance, just a very little bit. And if the New Leaf mica powder looks a little bit too light, I will add just a little tiny dash of the green vibrance. So let me hook up my stick blender here. My oils have been sitting, so the kaolin clay has sort of settled to the bottom. So I'm just going to blend that up. I've got that blended up. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my fragrance oil. And that's just to make sure that I have everything good and incorporated, even if it gets a little bit thick on me. And the usage rate for this particular fragrance oil is pretty high, so I can use the entire bottle in my batch. Give that a quick mix. Oh my gosh, you guys, this fragrance oil smells so good. I love it. It is great. All right, now, without any further ado, let's get into the making of this soap. that is at a nice emulsification. It's not even quite at a thin trace yet. And I'm not over blending because, again, I'm soaping a little bit hotter than normal. And the hotter your soap is, the quicker it thickens. So the faster it comes up to trace. So I'm just trying to avoid getting thick for as long as I possibly can. And I'm just checking for oil separation here. And that looks good. So, let me tear off part of this paper towel. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reuse my lye container. Because again, I'm in a rush and I don't really want to leave this soap sitting for very long because it is warm. And I am going to separate out my colorants. Can you all see what I'm doing? A little bit. Okay. Now for the swirl, I just do a drop swirl in this one. And what tended to happen with the last time that I made this soap, because the base is white, so it's colored with titanium dioxide, it tend to get a little thick, a little bit more thick than the colored portion or portions of the soap. I'm going to go ahead and add just a tiny bit of this green vibrance, just a little bit to darken it. Anyway, it would get a little bit thicker than the colored portions with the mica in it, but that's not a big deal. It made a really interesting effect with the two different consistencies. If I could think of what word I'm trying to use, that would be great. And there's not very much of a swirl in this one. The main color that you get is definitely the white. But I love this soap. It's one of my favorites. So I'm just going to portion off a little bit. That was actually a little bit much. I always say a little bit and then I end up with more than I intended, but that's okay. It's just fine with me. It's actually staying pretty fluid, so I'm happy about that. So I've started a new thing with my titanium dioxide. One thing that has been pointed out to me by several people, or has been noted by several people, is that I don't generally tend to premix my titanium dioxide. And that's because, in all honesty, I haven't noticed much of a difference between premixing it or adding it directly to whatever batter that I want to be that color, as long as I stick blend it well. So that's why I generally don't premix. But I have premixed a little bit here. So I'm just going to add that to this main batch here. Oh, that might have been a lot. That's okay. And I'm just going to mix this by hand first. See if I think that I need to add any more. And now I'm going to reassemble my stick blender and give all these a nice, good mixing. So that is not white enough for my taste. So I'm going to add a little bit more. I say a little, I really mean a lot. There's not much titanium dioxide in this mixture that I made. So this might actually combat the thickness that I usually get because it's more water than anything. It's not getting near as white as I like for it to be in this soap. If I can get this open, which maybe I can't, I might have to go on with it the way that it is, or keep adding, because it is quite thick. So Getting a little bit nervous. Did you all see that? Alright then. Yeah, this is very, very thick now. So I'm not going to be able to mix any more in here, or it's going to be way too thick. And that's pretty disappointing, because this is very thick now. And it's not nearly as white as I like for it to be. But now I know. So that is why I do not premix my titanium dioxide, because when I do, I feel like I don't get it nearly white enough. Better. Definitely not the best, but I'm working with what I've got here. So I'm just going to mix up my other colors really fast. These are still really fluid, so that's good. So this is the color that I'm ending up with. It is more on the pink side, but it's definitely got a hint of orange in it, which is exactly what I'm going for. Oh my gosh, it smells amazing. I love this fragrance oil. It is so nice. Mix up this green. And this is the green that we end up with. A really nice melony green. And because I had to add so much titanium dioxide just to get it to this off-white color, hopefully you can see that. It's staying, even though it's a little bit thicker, it's staying pretty easy to work with. It's not hard, it's just thick. So that's good. Now that I've made a mess everywhere, again, oh, I'm just making it worse. Okay, so time to move the mold in. Some soap there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump a little bit of this white in. And it is possible that this will whiten up even more as it goes through the saponification process. I have had that happen before. I've had whitish cream off color whites go to a nice white after they were done. So I just want to spoon some down there. And what I'll do is pour just a little of this pink. And just a little of this green. And then spoon in some more of this white. And I just repeat this for the entire soap. Just pushing this white around, making sure it's covering that bottom layer of color. I have way too much on my spatula here. Oops. Sorry guys, I know that probably shook the camera. Kind of push it off the sides just a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go in with more green. Give it a little bit of a mix there to help loosen it back up. Some more of the green. And then some of the pink, maybe. I'm going with more white. I just love this fragrance, you all. It smells so good. Very nice for warm weather. So it's getting a little bit thick, and that's totally fine. Because at least it's still workable. I don't have a whole lot of pink left, but I have just enough. I usually make this a high top soap, and I think I'm going to do that again because with the soap being this consistency, it's much easier to pile up because it's still very soft, but it's not too thin, so it's just perfect for doing high tops. Trying to make sure every bar gets a little bit of all of the colors. Sorry if you can hear my husband in the closet. This room shares a closet with our bedroom, which is right next door. Okay. And now I'm going to, actually before I do that, I'm going to bang this down on the floor just to get rid of any air bubbles. Okay, so now I'm going to put the rest of the white on top, or a good portion of it anyway. So it's not going to be a super duper high top soap, but it will have a higher top on it than my normal bars. I'm just going to spread it around and make sure that there's white on top of every part of the soap. And this mixing right here, I'm not worried about it in the slightest. I don't care if the top is completely white or not. It makes no difference to me. I'm going to bang this down one more time. All right. Tell that I banged it down pretty good from all this stuff hanging off the edge for dear life. Just kind of pushing some stuff back off the edge, back up onto the top. I'll still clean my edges off like normal. Okay, now I'm going to take my handy dandy purple thing and just sort of play with the edges a little bit. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera. Now come over to this side. I'm just pulling everything to the center. The good thing about a consistency like this is that you can just keep playing with it and playing with it until you're happy with it. I don't have anything in particular in mind here. Actually, I went the other way on the other side, so let me do this. And then I kind of like to pat the middle down a little, just so you don't end up with those spikes, because they do harden that way, and they can be pretty hard, so I don't want any hard spiky bits on these soaps. That would make them very uncomfortable to hold. A little bit on the ends so they're not so much shorter than the rest. Let me see, maybe I can do a little bit of a... I have no idea what I'm doing in case you all couldn't tell. Oh. Okay, I think that that's all I'm going to do to it. I don't want to mess it up too much. Just going to put my remaining soap batter into my little owl mold over here. Bring you on for a close-up, even though it's not much to look at right now. So this is what we've got going for us, just a textured top. It's a little bit pink with little hints of green, like a whitish, definitely a pinky white more than a whitish pink, but not much to look at as it stands right now. So we will have to see what this looks like when we go to cut. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn that notification bell on so you don't miss any of my uploads. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me about your day. Tell me about anything at all. Just love hearing from you guys. And I will see you all for the cut. Bye-bye.